the stretch to the edge. What a hurl by Jackson! Highlight reel touchdown! The Steelers going to be Louisville and drive. Louisville, national champions.
Hello again, everybody. I am your host tonight, Kyle, joined by co-hosts Patrick and Josh, and we are back with another episode of the Third Banner Pod. And it's been a little while, guys. It's been a little while. We had a slower week last week. Had a lot of stuff going on. Our co-host Ty Elliott had a baby, so congratulations to Ty on being a new dad. And what have you boys been up to, Pat? Long time, man.
Yeah, been a long time. I'm gonna start off by saying, this morning I'm taking my shower. And
oh no, this is not the way to start the pod. It's gonna be one of those cringe Pat stories. I can feel it.
And the shower's done. I get the curtain out. I'm like, crap, I forgot my towel. So I said, babe, can you bring me a towel? And she brings in the UK towel.
Oh no,
and
not the UK towel.
I knew from that point forward this morning that the Ville was going to win the TBT.
For those that don't know, if you listen to this later, or the few that are already hopped on, which welcome to the Third Banner Pod. Good to see you guys in here tonight. But Pat's wife is a UK fan, and he has found the very unique, uncommon, uncharacteristic tradition of using the UK towel before a big game. And he claims we have an 80% or better win percentage in big games when he uses the UK towel. So I couldn't stomach doing it, but it worked again tonight. Pat's living evidence. Now we can track his successes versus the wins versus the losses.
That's right. And I didn't pick out the towel this time. It was handed to me, and I almost handed it back. But I remember we had a game
by your UK wife.
Yeah. I said, "Go, I'll take it."
Pat, I thought the towel was lost. Maybe your wife was like.
Maybe my wife is secretly a U of L fan, and she's like, "Well, I know they win when I give them the towel." So
there it is.
Josh, what are you been up to, man?
We're reaching that point of the summer where, I don't want summer to be over. I love the weather. I love being outside and doing stuff. But, man, football is so close. I'm having such a hard time right now. We have a lot to look forward to in basketball. Dude, I don't want the summer to speed up, but part of me kind of does because I want, to get to experience all of that. But, the TBT – and now this trip to the Bahamas for our basketball team is at least saving me and helping me get through this last leg.
Yeah.
Ezra, good to see you in here, man. Always positive with your messages. Varen, I think it was 83 to 68 or 66. I don't remember, but we beat them pretty good. I will say, man, if you would have told me two things would have happened in July of 2024, within the last 10 or 15 years. One of those things is Darius Washington Jr. shooting free throws in Freedom Hall in 2024 in July. The other is beat UK chance in 2024 in July. Mm-hmm. And we got both of those tonight, boys. We got both of them. So I obviously living up here where I live during the week, it's going to be really hard for me to get down there. I'm going to try for that Monday game, though. I'm going to try. Yeah. I'm going to try to get there for that one. It's going to be tough, but we're talking about it already. But anyway, the atmosphere on TV looked absolutely electric.
Yeah.
It looked absolutely electric. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the guys, Twin Javi, the band that follows the show.
Yeah.
Big supporters of the Third Banner Pod. They showed them 3 different times on TV, and they were hyped. They were so hyped, which – Third Banner diehard listeners, I can see them being as hyped as they were. So it was good to see them on there. I saw I think it was Monday night, I saw a lot of old familiar faces in that game on the sidelines. So it's just really cool, man. It's really cool to get the nostalgia, the old vibes back right before we have a new regime take over in basketball. So based on the game tonight, what were your all's biggest takeaways watching the boys out there?
Well, first of all, it's this is the second year of the Ville being in this TBT, and last year it felt like this Band-Aid for us while we were in this horrible basketball period. But this year it's almost better because it's like the connection or the transfer from bad basketball to good basketball, from a bad program to a good program. And so I'm enjoying it this year more than I was last year, even though it's a lot of the same players. Obviously, we've added Trez and David Johnson. But yeah, man, it's a ton of fun. The atmosphere is awesome. Seeing, Braum there almost every game. I think he might be at every game so far. I mean, he was at the ACC conference, which we'll talk about later, and then got back into town to get to the game tonight, which is incredible. Seeing the one NBA player I'm a stan of, Donovan Mitchell, there on Monday was awesome. So the atmosphere is great, but the basketball is a lot of fun too. You can tell these guys are old, a lot of them, but they still have skill. They still play with that same Patino, up in your face pressure, with the same intensity, the same emotion. And it's something we haven't seen, from our basketball team in a while. So it's cool to see that and reminisce about it. And it's going to be a hard one Monday, but we're a talented team, and I think we'll make a game of it. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see basketball in Freedom Hall again, and to see like those old Louisville guys playing in Freedom Hall. I know some of them played in the Yum Center, but it's still cool to see Louisville basketball back in that arena. I think it brings up a lot of awesome memories for a lot of us. So it's just cool to see that. And then, yeah, I think Ty, you hit on it really, or Pat, you hit on it really well about the city just coming together, and like Donovan Mitchell's there. You got Braum, you have Pat Kelsey, you have all the alumni. I think like that's what you want, right? Like, so you have everybody there just really supporting the team. It's just a really cool vibe. But I think the other thing that's awesome about it too is like Pat Kelsey is selling a lot of these guys on the old Louisville, like the way that we were prior to the past few years. So like he's telling them Louisville is a basketball tradition rich area. Like this school has a reputation that speaks for itself, and like the fans are wild. Well, they probably watched games from the last few seasons, and they're like, I hope you're right, man. But they get to see it firsthand being at those games, like just how awesome our crowd is. So it's a really nice moment for those guys too, to like feel validated about the school they chose, and like really see our true fan base and not the one that's been around the past few seasons.
I'm actually looking right now for tickets, and I was going to get the floor section, and they were a good price, and they literally sold out while you guys were sitting here talking. It said they were available. I clicked on them. They're not available. And that's for the UK game on Monday. So I next time you guys talk, I'm gonna have to get in here and get some tickets, because I don't they're going quick. So I saw Nick Coffey send a link on Twitter. So for anybody looking for a link for tickets, go to his Twitter, and he's got a tweet. I retweeted it, but he's got a tweet up about the how you can order tickets, because they're going really fast right now. But yeah, the old Patino vibes are still there. The old magic is still there. The intensity. Obviously, these guys aren't in the shape that they were when they were 20-year-olds playing for Rick freaking Pitino. But you still see that dog in them. Chris Jones, man, Chris Jones and Trez have the kind of dog that you need. And then you add guys in there like even guys that aren't Louisville guys, like Mayo and Dow, they both were tremendous tonight. Peyton Siva, man, he's still that dude. He is still him. He's still him. He obviously isn't the blazing fast athlete that he was in 2013, but he's still got the IQ, man. And he hit a couple of really big threes tonight. Russ played better. His efficiency was better. He'd still had some Russ moments, but it was mainly in the first half and first quarter. And he played pretty well. I don't know. The one thing that you've worried about, or at least I've worried about with this team, is, when Kyle Keurig had his emergency come up where he couldn't play with the team, that's a spot up 3-point shooter. He used to be able to do other things. I assume in his older age, he's probably more limited to spot up shooting behind the arc. I think we need a little bit more of that, but tonight we hit a lot of threes. Mm-hmm. So we can get hot on the right night. And tonight we were able to do that against a pretty impressive team. They were some big old boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those were some big dudes, including the head coach. They haven't been missing many meals, man. I'll say that. Like that big old boy, 350 pounds in threes behind the arc, like it was crazy. I mean, it was a fun, intense team to watch, and that's kind of what I like about the TBT. It's a bit more, I don't know how you say it, blue collar. And,
yeah.
It's a bit more blue collar and like free to express yourself vibes. Like, it's not like restricted by the NCAA. Like you could just absolutely like their coach was going crazy on the sidelines, probably because he was ready to, I don't know. These guys look like they haven't missed a meal in a long time, man. They were some big old boys. Charles Barkley would call them San Antonio women. He said they didn't spend too much time in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But,
they were some big old boys. I love that they had the other coach mic'd up, and they just let there was an F-bomb in there, and they just let it fly on the FS1 broadcast.
I love it, man.
That was fun. But no, listen, I watched the TBT because Louisville has a team in it. But the concept of the TBT, as you said, it's a bunch of, guys that, for the most part, are past their primes, aren't, NBA talent. It's that blue collar, as you said. They've entered that workmen, we're going to work part of their career, and we don't give a shit, And also just the way it's played, the Elam ending is exciting because even when you're up 15, you're still excited for that game-winning shot. It's a great thing. Whoever came up with this obviously is probably reaping the benefits of their idea. But it's a great idea. It's awesome that it happens in the summer when all we have is the WNBA and the NBA Summer League as a basketball fan. And I'm like you, Kyle. You're on there right now trying to get some tickets. I hope
that they are going fast.
Yeah, and so I might need one of you all to talk so I can find time. I want to take my son.
Yeah, my computer's loading, or my phone's loading really slow too. It's making me nervous. I'm like, there's somebody else that's probably loading these tickets as I'm loading them. And they're like, sucks to be you and your slow internet.
Because that atmosphere, I mean, what would you all? What does Freedom Hall hold now? Does it hold 18,000, 19,000?
Ish. Yeah, it's right in there.
I mean, what would you all estimate the crowd will be there on Monday night?
Dude, I don't know. It's going to be wild.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there'd be 14, 15K there. That's my guess.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, I was going to say, I think one reason for me, at least, that I really like TBT is like it's a lot less above the rim, so it feels more like consistent with how I play. Like I feel like I'm watching some very talented guys from the Y play or something. Like, so it's a little bit more relatable and like, You know, like you could see the wear and tear on the guys a little bit. Like you said, they're at the workman part of their career. So like
nice college football 25 term there, the wear and tear.
Yeah, right.
It starts off in the red for most of these guys.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I can really relate because I see them doing what I do when I play basketball. Like they're looking up at the rim, like, hey, I'm supposed to be up here, and really they're barely getting the net, right? Like it feels like, you know, like exactly like watching me and my buddies play. So I think I can just really relate to that. And then, like you said, I think the Elam ending is just awesome. Like it adds some excitement to the end of games because otherwise, like exactly like you said, like tonight you're up 15 or 13. Like you make a shot with 5 seconds left or you dribble out. It's kind of, you know, like a letdown to go out. Plus, if your team keeps missing, like what happened to us in the last game, like all of a sudden it's a tight game, right? Like you have to hit that number. So I think it just adds a really cool element. And I think, I don't know, it's Elam who came up with the, you know, this idea, but like, dude, hats off to him. It's made it awesome.
I will say there's a lot of people that are clamoring for the Elam ending in regular basketball. I don't want that. And it's not because I don't think it's awesome. I want TBT to have something unique. Yeah. Obviously, dropping bombs on the air on the sidelines is pretty cool too. But like the Elam ending is what separates the TBT from the rest of basketball. And I want that to stay that way. Mm-hmm. I think it would be entertaining in college basketball, but and in NBA. But for one, I've just become ingrained in my head, and maybe I'm just like the old crow sitting on the lawn telling people to get off of it. But like I just have this idea of what the rules of basketball are, and in that kind of stuff. But when you introduce a new league and a new concept in that league, it separates that league from the other leagues. So I'm not a big fan of the idea of doing the Elam ending in regular college basketball.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, you know, it's one of those things where, for one, like you said, you become accustomed to what the NBA is, what college basketball is. And while the Elam ending would be cool, you don't want to break tradition there. And it's something that TBT has come up with. I mean, they're not the first. They didn't invent the Elam ending, but they're the first mainstream basketball association to really use it. And you kind of, like you said, it needs to be unique to them. They're the ones who have pioneered this. And, you know, them being in the summer, them having the Elam ending is what makes TBT great and what like sets it apart as a summer event from the other basketball that we watch. So yeah, I'm totally in agreement. I think they do the Elam ending in the All-Star game. But the All-Star game,
stuff like that. Summer League, I think they introduced it in the NBA, but
which is fine. And those games, especially All-Star game, those are so boring anyway that the Elam ending doesn't help them. But here, it's just such a big thing because, and they say it on the broadcast all the time. But there's always a winning shot. There's always for a team down 10, you know, to come back because there's no time limit. So yeah, it's awesome and it's a fun way to experience basketball because imagine sitting there tonight. If that was regular rules, we're up 13 and there's a minute left. Yeah, the crowd's going to be happy, but the game, like the energy is not there. But tonight we're up 13 or whatever it was, and we hit the 3 to win it, and the crowd goes bananas. Like it was a last second 3 when we were down 2 to win it, you know? So it just brings a different atmosphere to the games. And not only with the fans, but the players too. They get hyped even when they're up 13 and they hit the winning shot.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, like the NFL, they test out a lot of rules like the XFL or the USFL would try something
Yeah.
And if it was really good, they would incorporate it into the NFL. But I just feel like this is more of just a tournament thing. Like, I don't think it should be a regular, like, I think it might lose some of that specialness being in every game type of thing. So
Yeah.
I like it staying in the tournament. I love it, but I like you guys said, I feel like it belongs right where it's at. It's one of those things that can just be a TBT only thing and be fine. But still, man, what an exciting way to get through this last part of summer, though. Like, man, that game. That I think the game's on Friday night, right?
Monday night.
Oh, Monday night. Oh, I don't know how I had that so mixed up. I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, Monday night. I mean, dude, people are gonna have a rough time going to work on Tuesday. It's gonna be a rough night.
It's a great setup next week. You got Monday, you have the TBT, and then Tuesday's the first Bahamas game, right?
Yes. Yep.
So yeah.
So we do need
basketball.
We do need to turn the page to our next game, which might be a big deal, maybe. But La Familia happens to be the UK team playing in Freedom Hall on Monday. I just got my tickets. My tickets just kept getting like up higher row upon higher row. I finally got, I think it's row P, section 308 of Freedom Hall. So not bad seats, but like when I literally opened the app, it said there were floor seats available. That did not last. So was able to reserve 2 tickets. I would recommend you guys, if you're wanting to go, get your tickets now because they are going fast. And of course, obviously you also have to deal with the UK fans that want to swipe them up as well. So there is that element, and they're out there as well. You got to beat them to the punch, guys. Got to beat them to the punch. We are not going to let them invade Freedom Hall. So Josh says, according to Ty Spalding on Rivals, the game sold out in 5 minutes. It sure seems like that's what happened. I was able to get tickets. I feel like it took more than 5 minutes, but it didn't take long. I'd say it's probably close to being sold out now because, like I said, I was getting towards the end when I got my tickets. Like there's probably only 3 or 4 rows of tickets left that were below where I was at, where I ended up finally getting them to go through. So get on there. Like I said, Nick Coffey on Twitter has a link. I'm sure other people do too. That's the one I saw first. So get on there, get yourself some tickets. Don't let UK fans invade our arena. I get it under Kenny Payne. Nobody really wanted to watch that kind of basketball. Can't blame anybody for letting them invade that game. I certainly wasn't going. You couldn't have paid me to go watch us get spanked by UK. But this is different, guys. This is different. We've got excitement back for Louisville basketball, regular basketball. But then in the summer, you get to lead up to that with what we're doing right now. And then, of course, you have coming up very soon, you have the trip to the Bahamas, which is being streamed by Floyd Street's Finest. Can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah. No, and that kind of
or Floyd Street Media. I'm sorry, I think Floyd Street
Media.
Finest is something else, but Floyd Street Media, our new 502 circle, which we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome to watch our team play, the actual Louisville team, and we've seen highlights of practice, but to see them finally out on the court against another team, and I haven't even seen them on the court at all, really is going to be awesome to see what players that you kind of, we've talked about it on here, what we expect players to look like, and do those players meet our expectations for the first time, or are there players that surprise us? It's going to be fun to watch those games too. It's going to be a fun week next week, man. A lot going on.
Yeah, so I'm on here looking through the Floyd Street Media Twitter account, which, by the way, follow Floyd Street Media if you haven't already. That is it's a new element of the 502 circle, and I'm trying to get in here to download exactly, or to upload on the screen exactly what they offer, because there's some really cool stuff that they're doing. And it just shows, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think there's a collective out there that's as good as the 502 Circle? I, I have a hard time just claiming they're the best of the best because I don't know the other collectives of the other schools. I don't donate to them. I don't follow any other school like I follow us. I just can't imagine there's any other collective, and if there are, they're few and far between, that are as creative as the 502 Circle is when it comes to engaging the fan base, raising NIL money, and involving players and being able to network themselves. Like the combination of those things, I feel like they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. No, I think, innovative is a good word for what 502 Circle does. Dan Furman has done a great job with coming up with ideas to, one, not only raise money, but excite the fan base, which I think is just as important as raising the money because that leads to future money. Like you said, involving players and connecting the fan base with those players. I haven't been able to watch all of them, but they're, Tuesday night Cardinal talks that they've had with various staff members and various players are always cool. The new YouTube channel is going to be big, and it's free, which you'd say, well, how are they making money off of it? But you got to think of the popularity of that YouTube channel, the advertising dollars they're going to get that can go directly to, Waterman. Who's the other guy they're going to get to do it?
Jason?
Pryor. It's an innovative way to get these guys monies that isn't just, hey, donate to our collective so that we can give players money. And I'm sure there's other collectives out there that are doing fun things, but we're Louisville fans. What I see, I'm extremely impressed with how 502 Circle continues to come up with ideas and involve both the fan base and our student athletes, and make it really a community. The basketball, football, and baseball, everything. You feel like you're part of the team because of 502 Circle and what they do.
Yeah, no, I agree, Pat. And to Kyle's question, are they the best collective? I mean, I don't think we can say that for sure, like you mentioned, but what would you want in a collective? And this is kind of what Pat talked to, but what would I want if I was building the ideal collective? Well, I'd want them to be able to fundraise, which they can clearly do. But, we mentioned innovation as well. NIL is an ever-changing landscape right now. You need a collective that is creative and is willing to push the market and not just change as things change with NIL because, before you know it, you're in the past, right? So you have to be continually innovating, staying on the front end of this and figuring out what else can we do. So I think they knock both of those out of the park. So can I say we have the best one? I mean, no, but should anyone be unhappy with our collective? Absolutely not. We have, I would say, top 10 collective in the country. And you could argue that, but I think that's more than fair.
Top 10 is a safe bet.
Yeah.
Top 10 is a safe bet. So I do want to share the screen. I don't know if it's popped up on here. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, there it is. So I do want to share the screen. I will zoom in a little bit if I can, just because I know it's harder to see on the screen. But let's scroll up. There's a few things that are really cool that they are doing. And the Louisville basketball show, Keep It 100 with Case and Pryor and Noah Waterman. I cannot wait for that because it sounds like Case and Pryor and Noah Waterman have become pretty close based on a lot of reports this offseason. So I can't wait to see what kind of players they bring on. You remember when you brought Stephen Van Treese on here on the Third Banner Pod? That's a former player, but it's probably admittedly going to be really cool to see current players interviewing former players,
Yep.
because I'm sure not only will they have questions about their time here and conversations about what it's like here, and then get feedback about what to expect, but I'm sure those former players themselves will also probably have questions in response about, well, what do you guys think since you've been here with the coach and the new regime and the fan base and how things are going, especially after everything we just went through. How are things? How's the energy? How's the vibe around? I don't know. I'm just really curious to see how that one goes. I'm beyond excited about that.
Yeah, no, those two guys, I've said it on here before, but they're kind of like they give off the vibe like the Bash Brothers from Mighty Ducks. And it's going to be a fun show, and I mean it's called Keep It 100. So I'm sure they're going to let it loose as much as they can on there. Hopefully not giving many teams bulletin board material, but I think it's going to be fun for fans to be able to watch that and get a sense of the personality of those two and the rest of the team too, because I'm sure they'll have some other guys on. And I mean, think about as a fan, I'm 36 years old. And I've never gotten to experience something like that before. And I've been a diehard U of L fan, since I can remember. And now I'm going to get to watch two players go back and forth with each other. And like Kyle said, interview former players, have other current players on, probably have coaches on and stuff, and just shoot the shit. And that's going to be really cool to watch, man.
Yeah, I think one thing that we touched on, Pat, is like, the personalities of the two guys. Well, that's one thing that's kind of like a fringe problem or like a small issue with the transfer portal, but a lot of people don't talk about it. Is it's almost like in the one and done era when certain schools only had one and done players. Like, you don't really get to know the personality of your team. And I think that was kind of fun for me. Like, I think back to like the 2013 team, like my dad and I talking about Russ Smith and like, oh God, it's 1-on-4. Russ is going to try and take this in. Like, you got to know the players like on a lot different level than you get to now. Like with our current team, it's all transfers, right? So we can watch, we can, see their games or talk to the old fan base or read stories about them, but we don't really know hardly anyone on this team. So it'll be cool to have these interviews and try to learn some of those personalities before the season starts.
Then of course you also have the Bahamas live stream, which is free, by the way. It does not cost money to stream. You do need to follow their YouTube channel, which it's so funny. I was just looking, which I know the amount of resources they have. It obviously makes sense why they would gain a ton of followers. But I was thinking about how hard it was for us to get to 1,000, and I feel like we did it much quicker than we thought. And I'm looking at them because they're associated with the program, and I'm pretty sure they're close to 1,000 right now on day one. It hasn't even been 24 hours. So it's like effortless. It's like they just had to post something. So it's great. It's funny to see like how low you are, like how you're the little man trying to make it, because that'll really show you like, hey, this fan base is a lot bigger than you think online.
Yep.
But anyway, right after, I'm so glad that scheduling lined up, but right after our game Monday night with UK in TBT, the very next day we get Louisville versus the Bahamas at 7. And then of course Thursday we get again at noon, which Thursday at noon is going to be tough for me and anybody that's working. But I'll sneak it in. I have an office job. I think we're expecting our state survey. That's going to make it tough for me. That's going to make it really tough. But that being said, I'll try to sneak in, watch as much as I can, because it's important, man. It's so important to be able to see what these guys are made of. I've seen different ideas. I even see the chat bouncing around right now. I don't know. I don't think we're playing the NBA All-Star teams, like the teams that have the stars on them that are impact NBA players. But this gets debated a lot. Like some people think we are. Some people say no, it's going to be the lower level version of those teams. I don't know how it works. I don't have that answer. I tend to lean more towards that we're not going to be going against DeAndre Ayton and VJ Edgecombe and those guys. I don't think it's that team. But if it is, then interesting, because we're going to really find out what we're made of if we're going against some of these guys, like these NBA players. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I thought one thing that, and I've been trying to search for it, but I thought one thing that was interesting about the live stream of the Bahamas, and I can't remember who it was, but they've got two like good commentators, a commentating team doing this. It's not like they're pulling, local guys and having them do, the stream on this. They've got two like big network guys that are going to do the commentating for these games, which I think is a huge coup for, a YouTube channel made by our collective to do that. And again, it just goes to the innovation of all this. But to your point, Kyle, and it was kind of what I was saying earlier, but the innovation of this, they're already up about around 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So they're going to be able to pull in revenue from this thing, and turn that into NIL money.
Yeah.
And if this becomes a very popular YouTube channel, that can be a decent source of revenue that you can pay players like Pryor and Waterman that are going to have, a show on this network. So just
too bad YouTube will take 60% of that, but hey, it's still going to get some.
That's true. That's true.
But it is their platform. That's the way I look at it when we stream.
Do we know if they're going to record?
You guys are going to get your cheese because it is your platform. I've walked in your house and I might bring in the guests, but it's still your house.
That's right.
Do we know if they're going to record these, or is it just going to be a live stream only?
I would assume recorded, only because I would assume they're not just going to come in and have. I could be wrong, man. Case and Pryor and Noah Waterman might be like interview experts. They may have perfect questions and be able to sit down and have a very formal pod type environment with former players. I would assume they might need a little bit of like direction, just because they're mainly basketball players, but I could be wrong.
I was thinking about the basketball games. Do you think they're going to record like the Bahamas game? Game? That's what I didn't know, because like noon, I don't think you're unique. I think a lot of people are going to have trouble with that time.
I misunderstood the question. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know if they'll record those games or not.
Yeah, I think some of that. And you're the big lawyer, Josh, but I think some of that would be determined by streaming rights, and if we're the only one with the rights and stuff like that. But hopefully they can record them, because it'd be something. I'm one of those people who, when I'm watching a game, I'm too into the game to really analyze what's going on. So sometimes I like to go back and watch the game again and watch certain players or watch certain sets and stuff like that. I hope they have it recorded.
I'm the same way. Like, there's people that be like, why aren't you breaking down the game real intensely in a post game, like right after the game? Well, it's really because as a fan, when you're watching, you're taking it all in live. You don't know what's going to happen next. So your brain's like, trying to process not only what's happening, but what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. And you're just trying to watch the game itself. It isn't until you know the outcome, or at least in my case, the way my mind works. Mm-hmm. Once I know what the outcome is, if we lose, I'm just not going to watch it again. But if we win, then I can sit down and watch it with the peace of mind, knowing like, hey, this is already determined. So now I can really look for the attention to detail that I didn't see before. But so I'm with you, Pat. That's how my mind works too. But that would be really awesome if we could watch a recording. But I want to talk about the other thing in here. There's obviously the newsletter, which is cool. I'm sure it'll have a lot of good updates in it. But the Luke Hancock series with Coach, it says, insights into Louisville basketball, Coach Pat Kelsey's philosophy through the eyes of former player Luke Hancock. Luke has a very high basketball IQ. If you remember, that was what he was known for as a player. Obviously, his skills as an analyst, also coming on the radio on 93.9 The Drive with Mark Ennis. You hear a lot of it, but he's just a smart guy, man. And so he's going to be that basketball nerd, high IQ type of content that some of us really get into, breaking down the details of the game that you may not see as a casual fan. I'm really interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you
go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, yeah. No, go ahead. So anyway, sorry, I lost my thought. It's gone.
Luke Hancock.
Yeah. Oh, Luke Hancock. Yeah. So you'd watch him break down film of our prior team on the ACC network, and he's a Louisville alumni. Like, he's trying to speak about us in like the most glowing light he can, but like you could tell there were certain times where he wanted to be like, dude, what in the world's going on? Like, what are they doing over there? But he couldn't say that, right? Because he still had too much of a connection. So it'll be cool to hear him break down Pat Kelsey's philosophy, go through the playbook, and really be able to show like his basketball knowledge. Because I feel like the past few years he's really been muted because he was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, I love locally here when Luke's on the drive, because for one, I think Mark does a great job with that show, and Luke's insight, when he goes to practice and can bring tidbits and analyze stuff, it is always, as a basketball junkie, it's always a lot of fun to hear. This reminded me of one thing about the TBT game tonight, because Luke's on the TBT staff with Reese, Luke's an assistant coach, and I was kind of disappointed the first two games with the lack of sets we ran and adjustments we made. And one thing I saw tonight, we had some beautiful sets that we ran in that game tonight, and we really dissected their defenses. When they switched up a defense after a couple times down the floor, we figured out how to attack it. And that's on the players, but I think some of that's attributable to the coaches too. So I think Reese and Luke did a great job tonight coaching against that team. Yeah,
they did. You pointed out some really good adjustments. I would say, I did think David Padgett made a good point at the beginning of the second half. He's like, why are we going to zone and we're getting torched? And it took him a little while to get out of that.
Yeah,
so we did. That was the one thing. But compared to the other two games, as you were saying, like the amount of adjustments that were made, I feel like, and some of that takes time. It just takes time working together. I mean, you got to remember, these guys, the players themselves, have to establish a rapport, even though some of them played with each other a decade ago. A lot happens in a decade. Some guys go professionally overseas or to the NBA. Other guys go on and do whatever they do for the rest of their, like they start working on their non-basketball career or coaching career. And so you go all these different directions, but then you also add in new players like Mayo, Dow, and guys like that. You also add guys that didn't play together. And so you got a hodgepodge of different guys. And then on top of that, you add the coaching staff who have not worked with each other, and they get 3 weeks maybe of practice. I don't know. And so you're going to work out some things as you go. And I think they're starting to do that. And the key is going to be, though, this La Familia team is legit. They're really good.
Yeah.
Honestly, on paper, I don't expect us to win this game if I'm putting money on it. I'm just being honest. I don't think we're going to win this game on paper. But we do have dogs, guys like Trez, guys like Chris Jones.
David
Johnson's been our best player, in my opinion, so far. But guys like Trez and Chris Jones, you need the dogs to be absolute dogs on Monday.
Mhm.
And I think we have that, unlike the past few years playing against UK in regular college basketball. We haven't had any dogs at all. So you're going to have those guys lead you into battle and make the game ugly. I think we have to make it ugly. We don't have the shooters. They have a younger team overall.
Yeah.
They're quick. You're going to have to make it physical and ugly. And that's a Rick Pitino thing in a nutshell. So it should work if you can do that.
And you got to hope they feed, for one, you got to hope that it's a vast majority of U of L fans and they can feed off of that energy too. But yeah, didn't mean to get us off track, but the Luke Hancock thing reminded me of that. And I wanted to give the coaches props because I thought they did a good job tonight.
Yeah, I'm worried about the length at guard, pause, for UK. Because they have the Harrison brothers, right, or twins,
Mhm.
and then they have Bledsoe. Like they have a lot of length, and we have Chris Jones and Peyton Siva and Russ Smith, who I love to death, but like they don't have the same athleticism they had in college, and now length does matter, right? Because again, like you don't have if you're 6'5", now you can't out jump them anymore. They're just bigger than you. So I think that's my biggest concern, but I'm still picking our guys. It's Freedom Hall. Like I think they can pull it out, but I do agree it's going to have to be like that A- game at least in order for us to.
And I think to Kyle's point, the big advantage. You look at former NBA guys, which we have former NBA guys on our team too, but those guys are older. The Cauley Stein, the Harrison twins, Bledsoe. Yeah. The advantage La Familia has is they have a bunch of younger dudes that just are a couple years removed from college and playing high level pro ball overseas.
Yes, that's the key.
And our only real guy like that is David Johnson. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of energy, and I don't think it's a mismatch to the point where it's like, it's been a great run, guys. It's over. No. We've got a solid chance to win this game.
So basketball aside, like a lot going on, a lot coming in. We did have ACC media days and football. Didn't get a whole lot out of it, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like they asked the typical questions you ask. Coach Braum gave the typical answers that Coach Braum gives. Love Coach Braum and everything he does, but he's going to give you the coach speak answer where he's talking a lot, but you're not getting a whole lot of like major developments, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but for content purposes, it's hard to really dissect and break down. And honestly, Pat Kelsey, as great as he is with the fans and interacting, he kind of does that too in his interviews. Yeah. So it's a thing where some coaches will just break it down and give you a whole bunch where you can just dissect it and really get a lot of new information out of it. And other guys kind of keep it very surface level to where they give you the answer you're already expecting them to give, and there's not a whole lot of new developments. Then, of course, you also have the Kenny Payne way, which is where you talk about it forever, was because he says something so insanely crazy, you can't imagine did he really just say that? So that's a refreshing that we're not getting that. But on the on the football end, I know they asked about the portal and about future recruiting. That was interesting. They kind of touched on a couple different times, and he kind of made it sound like, without saying it, that they're going to continue to rely heavily on it. But he also said they will take it year by year, and that they're not locked into a certain ideology. But he made the point that he wants to be able to win instantly and bring in guys who can make instant impact. To me, that would mean the portal, but again, that's where you kind of have to do your own interpretation of a very surface generic statement. That may not be the way he meant it.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys got the same impression or a different impression out of any of that, or if there were any other key takeaways you guys had from media day.
Yeah, I mean, that statement was the one that I thought was the most interesting. And I got the vibe that it's, and again, it's coach speak, but I got the vibe it's like, we want to win and we're going to keep doing what we're doing if
Till
it
you know.
means that we're winning until we need to adjust and do something else. Which is fine with me. Listen, as fans, and he mentioned this, we want to win too. Would I like to see an uptick in high school recruiting? Sure, but if we keep winning with what we're doing, then I
Yeah.
don't really, it becomes less of an issue for me as a fan.
Mhm.
He had he had generic comments on Tyler Shuck, said, he's been around a long time and he gives us some different things than we could do last year. And he's won and he's lost and he's done all this, the generic stuff.
Your words.
He's,
Yeah.
He said Colin Lacey's a big, strong guy, a big, fast guy, a guy that can catch the ball. Well, obviously,
Colin Lacey can catch the football.
There you go.
So no, there's a lot
As
of
a receiver.
a lot of generic stuff going on. I thought
Irish Chuck can pass it.
Yeah,
He's got an arm.
And Perry can tackle.
It was interesting looking at social media today, especially in our Discord. I think there are some people that were watching the whole ACC, network coverage of it, not just Louisville's, and they kind of thought that Louisville was being disrespected. We weren't getting brought up as big games for some of the other teams and stuff.
That's true.
Which I think that's interesting because I think we've kind of established that we're probably one of the top 4 teams in the league going into the season. So hopefully that's kind of some bulletin board material.
Typical ACC. Y'all know how I feel about the ACC. I can't stand the ACC. I know other people do. When everybody was kissing FSU's butt on Twitter saying, "Oh, I feel so bad for Florida State for not," screw them. Screw them. Screw the ACC. They tried to screw. The referees were terrible in that game. I think we lost. I'm not saying we should have won the game, but it doesn't excuse the refs for sucking. I'm not kissing their butts. I don't care that Florida State was left out. I'll tell you why they were left out. They weren't good after their quarterback got injured. They were not one of the top 4 teams in the country. I don't understand why anybody would want to defend. It's fine though. Like, people feel different, but I'm telling you right now, don't love anybody that doesn't love you the same back. You can still have unconditional love, but that's for like family and stuff, Like, when it comes to my sports fandom and a conference that we're in, if that conference doesn't show my team love, screw that conference. We'll just stay in it until we can get out. And I'm ready for us to get out. Nobody wants to be in this garbage conference. It sucks. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. I know others disagree, but I'm here to be honest. I cannot wait till the day we get out of this putrid conference. They kiss Carolina schools' backsides. Wake Forest sucks at football. Their coach cries all the time, and you kiss their butts. Why? Wake Forest sucks. And then you also, you're always kissing Clemson's butt and their religious zealot that they have as their head coach. And it's like, okay, cool. But can we not get any love? Can we get none? And you're kissing Florida State's backside, just like the ACC doesn't love us, but our fans are like, come on, ACC, we love you. Like, we don't love you. That's how Florida State feels about you, Jim Phillips, and your stupid cronies at ACC Media Day. So this is my ACC rant. I don't screw ACC Media Day. They don't care. They're talking about who's the biggest threat to Florida State, and they start rattling off all these schools. Louisville conveniently left out. Typical. Yeah. Screw them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like since we've been in the ACC, other than the Lamar hype, we haven't gotten the respect that we deserve. I mean, what's our record against Miami in the ACC? What are we? We got to at least be 500 against them. I think we have a winning record against them in the ACC, though. But every time you talk about those 2 schools, it's like Miami's on a completely different level than Louisville.
And I don't know why.
And that pisses me off. I'm not I share a lot of your thoughts about the ACC, Kyle. I'm one of the people where if right now the ACC is where we make the most money, I'm fine with it. But if there's an opportunity to make more money elsewhere, we need to
That's
go.
fine. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I will put my disdain aside for the money when it comes to business, which is what college sports is. But I still don't have to like you or kiss your butt when your team doesn't make it because you're not one of the best 4 teams in college football. Sorry about your luck with the quarterback, but the amount of Louisville fans that were clamoring for the ACC to have representation after they officiated that game the way it did, like within 24 hours of that, like, are you kidding me? Nah, screw them.
Well, if you think about it, that ACC title game, like, let's just be, Jack did not have his best game that night. And it's like,
no.
The rest of the country got to experience Jack Plummer breaking their arms that night, right? With the way that game went. And if you think about it, like, had he just played a decent game, there's not this big national discourse about whether Florida State should be in or not. The ACC never has to get left out with an undefeated team. Like, none of it happens. So I don't want to put that all on Jack Plummer, but, you know, you could make the argument, right? But to your question earlier, Kyle, about, like, interviews, did we pull anything out of it? Well, I think we all kind of got spoiled when we had Pitino, because he would tell you, like, more than you asked, right? Like, he was like, he's like,
I remember one of those ACC media days, he pissed off Jim Boeheim with his response. I don't remember what he said, but him and Jim Boeheim are friends.
Yeah.
Jim Boeheim got so pissed off at ACC media day because of something Rick said about him. I thought it was hilarious. I wish I could remember what it was. I'm sure he was picking his nose and eating his boogers and whatever, you know, because that's just Jim Boeheim thing. But it was funny. I just remember that's Rick for you.
Yeah. Well, it was like he would go into it. He'd be like, "Well, Boeheim wasn't there because he had diarrhea, and, you know, like,
I don't remember what.
Wayne Blackshear, you know, he was 5 pounds overweight. Like, he would tell us all this stuff. We're like, dude, we just asked, like, how summer workouts are going. Like, he'd go into, like, you know, a long tangent. Mike Mayer is the best shooter he's ever seen. Like, you know, he just gives you so much that now you go from that to, like, any other Louisville coach and, like, a Jeff Brom especially, and you just feel like you get nothing from him because you're used to that, right? So I think part of this is Pitino's fault.
Yeah. I will say the guys look good in their suits, man.
They did. Hey, Tyler Shuck looks like he was born in a suit. That man looks like he came out. He came out, it was delivered, and came out in a suit. And they cut the cord, and they had to, like, what? They had to move past his fancy suit and his Croc shoes to get to the umbilical cord and cut it off. And he probably had a little briefcase with him. And he just walked up and was like, "Mama," and then he started nursing. And yeah, that's Tyler Shuck, baby. Tyler Shuck, born in a suit. Because when I saw his pics today, I was like, that man looks like he's been living in a suit his entire life.
There's people like that too, man. They're like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Everybody looks better in a suit, but you're right. There's certain people that you're like.
There's certain people that look like it's just like who they are.
Yeah, right.
Other people can't, like, they look fine in a suit, and then there's people that need a little bit of suit 101, but we're not going to go there.
No, that's true.
I imagine if Coach Ross McMains, who always had a shirt untucked, wore a suit, it'd be a soup sandwich. It looked like he got dressed in the dark, but that's neither here nor there.
He'd be wearing the suit with his shirt untucked.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I do think we are one of the, at the very least, top 4 college football teams in the ACC. We were in the ACC championship game last year. To try to play devil's advocate, I can see a scenario where they don't, because I'm kind of in the same boat where I don't know what to expect from Louisville football this year, for the simple fact that our roster turnover is so much more than most schools because we rely so heavily on the portal. We get a lot of portal guys that leave. Either they graduate, they move on, they go pro, or they transfer again, and then we replace them with a bunch of other portal guys. So because of all that movement, it is hard to really narrow down what you have. Like new quarterbacks, a lot of new running backs, receiving core is mostly overhauled, a lot of new offensive linemen. The defense is pretty predictable to me in a good way. Like I think our defense is going to be really good. So if it's not, then that's going to be an underachieving defensive unit, in my opinion, because I think we got all the tools in the world. I question that second edge opposite of Ashton. I know the USF kid that we got is in there. I don't know enough about him yet, and that's another one of those portal question mark type things. So anyway, I can see where they would be a little bit like, I don't know where to put Louisville, but you got to mention them. You got to mention the school that did a portal overhaul. A lot of people think it's a better roster than last year, and we went to the ACC championship game last year. So you just can't leave them out.
Yeah. Well, when you have two players that are going to, pop up on preseason All-American list and Ashton Gelati and Quincy Riley,
Derek's
you got two guys like that, then you're probably in a pretty good position to start the year. But yeah, no, the defense, if the linebackers develop and you find an edge guy that can take some pressure off of Ashton, you're talking about a potentially top 10 defense in the country. And there's some questions on offense, but there's a lot of pieces there too. So yeah, to not get that respect and be mentioned with the top players, the Clemsons, the FSUs, the Miamis. When you hear Virginia Tech, and no offense to
that's what made me mad. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
It's like now you're just looking for like, can we please not include Louisville? What school can we? God, anybody but them. Virginia Tech. That sounds good. They have Inner Sandman when they've got that going for them. Let's they had Michael Vick 20 years ago. Let's talk about them. Yeah, that stuff's annoying. Derek did ask in the chat. I was hoping nobody would ask about Jasper Johnson's top 5 or one, but I actually thought about this before the show. I was like, somebody's probably going to ask about Jasper Johnson's top 5.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't think we're getting Jasper Johnson. I think he just kind of threw us in there. We're a Kentucky school. We have been recruiting him. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That means that I will say if I am wrong, Pat Kelsey did one hell of a job swaying this kid when there's other schools that have been in the lead for a long time. And he may have some interest in us, but I just don't think we're close to being the choice. So he's a really good player. At this point, I'm hoping he goes to Bama. I think he's got a lot of strong interest in going to Bama. Nate Oates, I would argue, is the best head coach recruiter in the entire country right now. Not saying he's the best coach. We all know who that is up in Stores. But recruiting-wise, I do think that Nate Oates might be the best head coach, the best recruiter in the country. So I'm hoping he can sway him. But then, of course, you have UK. So I think it's down to those two, if I'm being honest. Yeah. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, his dad played football at UK.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean he's going to UK, but it's one of those things where, like, listen, if your son doesn't want to come here, he can't go to Louisville.
We got your boy Russ East.
Good. That's true. We did have Russ East.
You remember Craig East? I'm old enough to remember Craig East.
And gosh, man, Russ East so bad here, and then so awesome at Kansas State, and now plays in the NFL. That's the dumbest statement. If you ever pulled any of my statements on Russ East, you tell me I'm an idiot because I thought he was awful. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be hard to pull this kid. But it is exciting that we continue to be making lists of 5 stars, high 4-star players, just a year removed from 2 seasons of a total of 8, 9 wins, whatever we had. So Kelsey even getting us in the picture is big. If he pulls it, I'm like you, Kyle, I'll be floored.
Absolutely floored. If he pulls him, he can pull anybody. I will never, even if somebody tells me there's no shot, I'll be like, no, because Jasper Johnson was no shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Well, and I think, he had a few of those. Kyle, you mentioned this on a different episode, but, Pat Kelsey did have a few of those come from behind recruiting stories where, like, a player that we usually don't get. Like, you don't hear anything about him. His recruitment's really quiet. He's highly coveted. Those never work out for us. But, like, Case in Pryor was an instance where we hadn't heard anything, and then all of a sudden he committed to Louisville. So,
yeah,
I'm not going to say that he's Jasper Johnson good yet. Like, I'm not going to go that far, but, like, he might have it. Like, the stars might have aligned with his personality, our NIL, our facilities. Like, we might have that kind of a coach. We just don't know yet.
Would be a hell of a haul.
That would be unreal. Like, I'm with you. I'd throw my hands up and say, I don't know if we're going to get him, but we have a shot.
Yeah, right? You can tell me, daggone, Cooper Flagg was going to consider returning to college and not coming to Duke, and he could either choose to return to Duke, go to the NBA, but Pat Kelsey's in on him, and I'll be like, listen, man, he got Jasper Johnson when Jasper Johnson was like not that interested at all. Cooper Flagg's coming to Louisville, baby.
Yep. Dude, I wish he looks awesome.
Well, Josh, I know you got an early day tomorrow. I think I'm going to have an early day as well, unfortunately, in the way things are starting to line up. But it was a fun-filled episode, a lot going on. Big win tonight for Louisville TBT. We play the guys down the road on Monday. I would say get your tickets, but they're gone. So you either got tickets or you didn't. I'm thankful that on this pod I was able to reserve my tickets after fighting with it for a while. Did you get some, Pat?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can go yet, but I bought 4. So if I can't go, guys, I might have 4 that somebody can pick up from me.
Okay. With that being said, final thoughts, Pat.
Glad to be back on. I know it's been a while. I had vacation. We had some, new members of the pod, Ty, with his boy being born. But the season is ramping up. We've got a lot going on now. There'll be a lot more content coming because of that. So I was excited to be back tonight with you guys. And
we got to stream some college football 25 head to head. Did you get your capture card, Pat?
I've ordered it. It hasn't come yet. I ordered it.
Hang on, where'd you order it from? India?
No, I didn't order it today. I said I was going to order it because I didn't end up having lunch at work.
Is it coming on a horse carriage?
Yeah.
They delivering that thing from a raven like Game of Thrones?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You're going to get a knockoff one in the mail that steals all of the info.
That's right. Oh. No, but we'll get some college football going for sure.
Dude, my final thought is based around the college football game since we've talked about it a lot on this pod. Dude, me and Kyle, we talked about this on the Discord, but like I used to play Halo. I loved all the Halo games. That was about the extent of my gaming.
Man,
dude,
we are old boomers.
Yeah. Halo. Everyone's going to be like, what's Halo? But like, that was my thing, but like I would play like NFL Blitz.
That's what we sound like at least.
And, even more of a throwback, right? Like I used to play that, and I was decent at that. But like all you did was throw the bomb, like switch sides maybe, but that was it. So I come in here trying to play this game, and like I'm a dad. I have a full-time job. Like I have chores and shit to do. I don't have 10 hours to play this game consecutively. So I sit down and, dude, I throw pick after pick. Like, I try to run the RPO for a loss of 8. Like, if I'm in the red zone and I haven't scored, it is an interception for a pick six. Like, every time. Like,
I'm just now getting over that stage of it, Josh, and the RPO starting to work for me. I'll tell you what I had to do. I don't know if this will work for you or not. I had to go to offense only. Yeah. Because I know I suck at defense, but what I've learned is it's really hard to be good at defense on this video game. So why even waste time if you suck on offense too, but other people are good at it? I was like, okay, I'm focusing solely on offense because I'm going to have to match these guys anyway. But I did want to say real quick, I saw they just now announced they have opened up the entire arena, it sounds like, the upper decks for this game. So when I was in there trying to get my tickets earlier, I could not because it was capped off. But they've opened it up, so it sounds like they're going to have the whole Freedom Hall. So Louisville fans, get in there. We don't want UK fans getting all these tickets. There's going to be some of them. There would be anyway because they come to all of our games because they're freaking weird. We could be playing Austin P or Leanne Ryan, Lenore Rye in an exhibition game, and there'll be about 20 UK fans there because there's bored because there's the Wi-Fi is out in Hazard, Kentucky, and so they're tired of hanging out at the Walmart in shorts that are too small for them, showing off their flab. And there's nothing, so they come to Louisville and they go to our game, so they have some entertainment. That being said, there's going to be some UK fans there. Let's just do our best to show up, show out. I know Josh lives in Iowa, so I'm not going to – we can't do it.
I'll be there in spirit.
I know it's a Monday night. That's tough. It's going to be tough, but it'd be nice, and I get it because I can't get to a lot of games either during the week. I'm going to get to this one, and, they've opened it up now, so if you were having a hard time getting tickets earlier, thought they were sold out, here's your chance.
Get in there and get them.
But, yeah, Josh, I'm going through it on College Football 25 as well. I do think I've turned the corner on offense, but it could be all fool's gold, man. Like I could start playing whole games in this dynasty league where other people are just better at defense than me, and maybe I'm not as good on offense as I thought. But I mean, I feel like it's clicking now. But
dude, I just feel like the football gods have it out for me. Like today, I was up. I scored on the last second touchdown. I was up by like 4 points. And so I kicked off, and I was just kind of like messing around. I was like, oh, I'll kick it in the corner, and I'll kick it a little short. Like,
oh, no, that's a Bobby Petrino strategy. Dude, it never worked for us.
I tried to do that. I don't know why. I was just messing around, like I said.
And they housed it.
I finally won one, so I kick it short. The guy grabs it on one hop, and I try to, like, Superman tackle him, goes right by me, an 80-yard touchdown. I lose. And so I'm like down here, like I'm losing my shit. Like, and my wife comes down and she's like, "What happened? Like what's going on?" And I'm like, "Dude, fucking UCLA." She's like, "If you bring up football in a video game of football right now, like,
yeah, man,
I'm going through it."
Bro,
what I'm scared about with this dynasty league is it's gonna destroy me, man.
Yeah,
I'm really so pissed.
I am really competitive. Like, it's unhealthy, and I don't like to lose things. And I will act like I'm professional about it and be like, "Good game."
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Like in the back of my mind, I want to kill you at the whatever we're competing against. Like, I don't like it. Will eat me alive forever to know I lost, where other people can just lose and be like, "Oh, well, at least we had fun." There is no fun unless I win. There's none. If I lose, like, I'm thinking about it for a long time. I'm pissed. I'm replaying all the things in my mind that went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And against the computer, it's bad enough. Like, that's how unhealthy I am. I'm mad at the computer. Like, in my head, I'm picturing them bragging about beating me when it's a freaking AI. But the people that we know, the people that we like to rib each other in the group chat, like, it makes me sick to my stomach to think that some of those guys are going to pummel my brains in this game. So I've been trying to get better, trying. And I'm not the one that's going to dance on your grave when I win. I just want to win because I've got that thing in me. Like, I'm not very athletic. I was never like overwhelmingly athletic in sports. So I had to find different ways to transfer that dog. Like, I have that dog. I just don't have like my God, if you would have given me the athletic ability to have that, like, I'd be like Trez out there, where Trez was like, "Don't talk to the other team. They're the enemy. You talk to them after the game, after we win. You don't talk to them before that." Because everybody was trying to be like, I'm that guy. I'm like, we're not friends. When I see you on my schedule on CFB 25, you're not my friend that whole week. And I mean, I'm just weird like that. Is there any stakes involved? No. Do you really get anything out of winning? No, but I just have to win. And that's just my mentality. So like I'll give you an example, kind of like what you were saying, Josh, with the kickoff thing. I had a team with like 22 seconds left. I was up 4, and it was when I was in the rut, like you're talking about, where I just could not win. I was throwing a lot of picks because it is hard when you haven't played video games in forever and you pick this game up. You have to actually know X and O's and know plays to play this game. I honestly think if you're really, really good at college football 25, you could be a freaking coach at the college level. I'm not kidding. Like, at least schematically, maybe not recruiting and all the other stuff, but schematically, you could be a scout if you understand the ins and outs. That's how intricate this game is. So I've been trying to learn it, but at the beginning, when I was really in a rut, Josh, I scored a touchdown. I was up 6, of course, 6. And I kick it off, 22 seconds left. He tries to run it back. I get him at like the 16-yard line. Now there's like 18 seconds left. They get down there somehow in like 2 plays, and they're down at like the 28-yard line or something, or maybe 33-yard line. I don't know. And they throw a long pass in the end zone. I swat it down. I start celebrating. It's over, right? I look up. There's 1 second left. So I go cover 4, and I back up my cover 4 cushion. So I'm like, they're not, and I'm in a dime formation, so it's prevent. It's like Hail Mary defense. And so he hikes the ball, throws it to the very corner of the end zone. I've got 2 guys, and there's a guy in between, like right here where my hands are. These are my 2 guys. There's a guy in the small window. Their guy. He one-hands it with 1 toe barely in bounds. I mean, and then they reviewed it, and he caught it, and then they won. And that was like going to be my first win on All-American. I was so mad. And my wife, and we were about to go on our date. And so I come upstairs. I'm trying not to show how mad I am. But she's like, why are you so quiet? You seem mad. And I'm like, well, let me tell you why I'm mad. And then like, there it goes. She's like, it's just a football game. See, this is where I'm not healthy. I'm sick in the head, Josh. Yeah. I'm not healthy. It's not just a game to me. It's everything. I feel like it shouldn't be like that. I know it's unhealthy.
I feel like the impractical jokers are standing behind my TV and they're like, okay, now run back the kickoff.
Yeah.
That's really pissing me off.
Yeah. I mean, I've come a long way since that episode that I streamed on here, just to kind of live stream and show what's going on. And real funny, Go Cards, real funny. But anyway, that being said, like, I've come a long way since then. I mean, I was on here fumbling through. I ended up beating UK, and I beat somebody with Ball State, but then I lost and got killed by Miami. But you could tell I didn't know what I was doing on there at all. I've gotten better since then, but it's not healthy. It's not. Well, that being said, guys, I think we probably need to wrap this episode up. It's been fun. Try to get tickets if you can to the La Familia versus Louisville TBT. Monday, 7:00, Freedom Hall. Got the big games coming up in I almost said Puerto Rico, but in the Bahamas. So we've got a lot going on next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Glad to be back. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Haven't heard us before. That being said, I'm going to end it with a Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Cards.